So we're getting strong and we're implementing some explosive exercises into our program. Now here's the mistake that a lot of people make when programming those explosive exercises. The point of them is to improve certain sports skills, so their exercise must be transferable into that sports skill. And here's a quick example from the last video that I showed you, the exercises in video 2. So all of those exercises were performed in a vertical direction. So all of the force was produced upwards. If we're trying to improve acceleration, where we're trying to improve our horizontal force production, those exercises are going to have minimal transfer. So we need to program exercises that are actually going to be beneficial to horizontal force production. And I'll show you a couple of those in the video in a second. Secondly, we need to think about the style of muscular contraction that's present in the activity or sports skill that we're trying to improve. So take a rowing stroke, for example, where there's a big emphasis on the concentric drive and there's quite a lot of time taken to perform the movement, or a rugby scrum where there's a concentric drive into an isometric contraction, and we may well need to look at our exercises and make sure that the ones we're programming are transferable into those muscular contractions and those sports skills. In jumping and running, there's going to be an eccentric contraction before the concentric contraction, which is a stretch shortening cycle. So those of you that have an understanding of this, it's basically a downward phase before a minimal pause amortization phase before we then jump upwards in the concentric force production. So we need to represent that in our exercises. So we need to perform plyometric style movements where there's a stretch shortening cycle taking place during the movement, and we can try and improve this, which will have a positive transfer into our sports skill. The broad jump variations take into consideration the direction of force, with horizontal force production off of a single leg and a double leg the goal here. The depth jump utilises the stretch shortening cycle, so it's a true plyometric exercise focusing on improving vertical force production, with the following exercise, a diagonal bound, also utilising the stretch shortening cycle and also taking into consideration on the direction of force, so useful for change of direction ability. So designing exercises that can be highly transferable into the sports skills you want to develop is great, but there's two things that can kill all of this progress and all of the planning that you've put in place to actually improve your explosive power. I'll cover these in the next video, and they're super important because I actually don't think many people think about these at all when they're programming their training.